I was in a cult once. Not like the ones you see in the scary movies, or Dr. Phil, or whatever. This was maybe 5 years ago. I was living on a family farm, with 12 other hopeless people who were not my family. We all had to play nice, call each other brother and sister, and the leader, his name was Andrew, but we couldn't call him that. We were allowed to call him paternal nicknames. Papa, Dad, Father, whatever you wanted to say. When I first met him, he introduced himself as Mr. Andrew, I guess because introducing yourself as Papa is kinda weird, and the further you went on the more comfortable you got, and the more easily you could slip into calling him your father. And besides, he was an old guy, and you can't just tell this sweet-looking old guy that you refuse to call him by some cute little nickname he came up with for his farm hands. Whenever we were working, he'd always motivate us. In looking back, I've never had a better boss than him. When we were working to plant seeds, he'd remind us how close we were to being a sustainable farm. He'd talk about organics, about GMOs, how disgusting and inhumane the food business was. I believed it all. I mean, I believed it before I joined up. My parents were always the type to encourage healthy living. We had chickens for eggs, I knew how to butcher rabbits if I absolutely had to. My mum even taught me how to cook most of your basic meals. I haven't seen her in 8 years, but I still remember her guiding my hand, fingers clasping over mine as we stirred the pot of chunky chicken soup. But anyway, his main point was always about how humans were never designed to follow all these newfangled, seriously, the guy's language was just a little dated, fads of diet, of veganism, paleo, Atkins, low carb, high carb, whatever. People were simply meant to live off of the land that God provided, and you know what? I can't say I disagree, even with the fact that I learned the philosophy from a cult. So right about now, you're probably wondering why I left. Things weren't so bad, right? I was just working for my meal and my place to sleep. Well, that's what it was at first. And then it got inevitably worse, like these things always do. There was this guy in the group. He was nice. I think his name was John, or maybe that's just what Mr. Andrew told us to call him. I remember he brought me a bowl of soup. Chicken soup, to be exact. It made me nostalgic and, had we not had some rule of silence during meals, I would have told my story about my mother. I don't really know why we had the silence rule, but after a few weeks Mr. Andrew added that rule to a few other circumstances too. We weren't allowed to speak after dinner, unless we were spoken to by either him or his wife. At least, I always assumed it was his wife. She always clung to him, like my mom clung to my dad when we were at amusement parks. So John was assigned to guide me around for the first 2 months or so. Father Andrew called this cohabitation. Basically, he was supposed to show me the ropes and get me into my position as a young member. He taught me how to plant seeds, how to properly install the watering system, hell, even how to set up a few solar panels. Scoot over. It was 2 in the morning. Or at least, I think it was. Honestly, I didn't miss having clocks around. It made everything feel so much more relaxed, even when Father Andrew was giving us our 2 pages of work every day. He handwrote those lists every morning, for each one of us. Can't buy that sort of devotion. Dude, get in your own bed. We had 2 beds, and I guess I forgot that we'd pushed them together to make room for some new members. 2 girls, I think. I never heard their names, but they were supposed to be coming soon. John took up a lot of space. He didn't seem to have any issues getting close to me, which, under any other circumstances, would have made me uncomfortable had I not been half brainwashed into thinking that was normal. Sometimes we did something akin to cuddling. It was an accident, of course, because to my understanding we were just two straight guys that had to share a bed because of size issues. We'd somehow end up under the same blanket sometimes, or if it was particularly cold we'd just stack the two on top of each other and lay under them both, facing away. Once, I woke up with his arms around my waist. Obviously, I laughed it off. "Dude, you need to find yourself a fucking girlfriend, 'cause I'm not gonna be your prison bitch." The words were harsh, but he laughed too. I don't know what day it was when we slept together, but he told me it was his birthday. He also told me it was the last step of cohabitation, intimacy. Now, I'd heard that before. I'd heard that two cohabiting members were supposed to be closer than siblings, like a blood bond. I guess that wasn't really what they meant. Okay, I'm kind of conflicted on whether or not I should share this stuff. It's not 100% necessary to the story, but I feel like omitting important details might hurt, so you're forewarned. So I don't want to get into all the details, but I'm just gonna sum it up for the sake of being clear and honest with everyone here. It felt weird. And not just in the "I'm a guy, getting screwed by a guy, in a cult that's supposed to be religious kinda way. Don't get me wrong, it was consensual, it's just that something about the whole arrangement felt weird. And, while in the moment it didn't exactly seem weird, looking back, he never kissed me. Not that I minded. He didn't use a condom. I didn't think about it. A few days later, the two new girls came in. Papa told us that we weren't cohabiting with them, but they were going to stay in our room for a few days and this shouldn't interfere with any of our normal lifestyle. I didn't really know what this meant until, again, I'm just trying to be clear and honest. I apologize. John tried to initiate sex while they were asleep. I felt bad that time, but John told me that they didn't mind. I don't really know why I believed him. Neither of the girls even reacted,